New York is the only city I ever performed in as a comedian where everyone talks at the same speed as me, so I'm hoping that's still true. Because otherwise it's going to be too fast, and I'm hoping that you can cope. Can you cope? Yes. Good, because this is as slow as I can go, I'm not going to lie. So if you can't follow, what you need to do is listen a little bit faster, and then it'll be fine. If you're wondering how I get through 15 minutes without ever audibly inhaling, the answer is I can breathe through my ears. It's one of the things that makes me surprisingly popular with boys. Too early, would you say, New York? For a smutty joke about the right time? Good, glad to know. I know some of you are eating, and I'm sorry for that. Well, to be honest, I'm secretly quite glad about it, but there it is. I'm at least going to fake a degree of sorrow. So since the theme for tonight's show is Inside the Lie, and since by day I am a classicist, I thought I had to talk to you about the truly great lie in all of Greek drama, in all of Greek literature, which is, of course, the story of, I would say, Oedipus, but you, I think, would say Oedipus. And we'd both be wrong, because the Greek, of course, is Oedipus. Sorry about that. Annoying of them. It means swollen foot, in case you've ever wondered. It's true, because when he was, it's a much grimmer story than I've just made it sound, because when he's well, we'll get to that in a minute. But anyway, it's an unhappy tale that he gets his Oedipus, his swollen foot. So, in case you haven't seen it recently, I will recap the plot for you, but not through the medium of acting, because that would be hard, but through the medium of me telling you what happens. So, number one, at the beginning of the play, for those of you who have failed to pay attention on previous productions, we are in the city of Thebes, where Oedipus is king. And there's plague, horrible, terrible plague that's killing everything. And the citizens come to their king and say, you have to do something about it, we're all dying. And he says, I've already done something. This, for those of you who like to pay attention to this kind of thing, is his tragic flaw. He's quick, he's quicker than other people. He's smart. This is his hamartia, to give it its Greek name, his tragic flaw. He's smart, but it makes him quick-tempered. It makes him angry. Right? So, he says, I've already done it. I've sent my brother-in-law away to find out what's happening, and he's just got back. What's the deal? And Creon, his brother-in-law, says, we're harboring the killer of the previous king, and we have to get rid of him. He's the pollutant, he is the miasma, and we have to get rid of him, and then all will be well. The oracle at Delphi says so. And Oedipus says, I can't imagine who could be so terrible as to kill the previous king, because it happened before I got there, but we'll definitely find him, and I, for one, right now, curse him. Your only job as an audience at this point is to be going, ba, ba, ba! That's your only job, right? You just have to be doing that. And so they decide that they've got to find out who the man is. And he says, right, so what happened? And people say, oh, he was killed by a band of robbers. They set on him and his men. There was just one survivor. It was at a place where 3 roads meet. And Oedipus goes, God, that's a coincidence. I myself once killed a man at a place where 3 roads meet. A band of robbers, you say, not just the one guy, just checking, no reason, coincidence, I'm sure. And then a messenger turns up from Corinth, which is where Oedipus was brought up, and says, Sire, I have both good news and bad news. I'm paraphrasing very slightly from the Sophocles. Just so you know, I'm paraphrasing very slightly, because I'm assuming you wouldn't understand it if I did it in ancient Greek. I've translated it very slightly, very slightly. Although Sophocles obviously a genius. For those of you who didn't know this, he's the one who invents the 3rd character being on stage. Do you know this? Before him, Aeschylus invents the idea of the 2nd character. That's honestly true. Before that, there's one person doing a monologue in front of some singers. That's it. Yep. No bad thing for example, Diana Ross. Not great for drama. There it is. So then Aeschylus goes, imagine if there were 2 people. They could have a chat. And he's right? And then Aeschylus does that, and then Sophocles goes, imagine if there were 2 people having a chat, and someone came in and said, you'll never guess what I've heard. I swear, every time you watch any drama on TV, on film, on stage, and there are 2 people, and someone interrupts them, you have Sophocles to thank. That's all I'm saying. Without him, nothing. You should applaud him. You should applaud him. He wrote this in 429 BC. We've had 2,500 years of 3 people on stage, and without him, we'd be nothing. So, where was I? Yes, the messenger from Corinth. Do you remember? Because there's 2 people, and now a messenger. Brilliant, 3 people. And he goes, Sire, I have good news and bad news. Bad news, your father Polybus is dead. Good news, we'd like you to be our king. And Oedipus goes, that's double good news. And the messenger goes, it was your dad? Jeez. you could be a bit sorry that he's dead. And Oedipus goes, oh, no, sorry. What I meant to say was, I had heard a prophecy that I was going to grow up and kill my father and do something absolutely indescribable with my mother. So it's really good news for me that he's now differently dead from what I was expecting. Fantastic. And the messenger, who doesn't quite think through the consequences of his actions, rather disappointingly at this stage, goes, you were worried you were going to kill your father. Let me put your mind at rest. You're adopted. Because who doesn't want to hear that in a room full of strangers? That's the way I always like to look at it. And so Oedipus goes, wait, say what? What happened to it? He goes, yeah, you're adopted. I, long ago, met this bloke. He was a sort of servant from the house of, what's the king here again? Thebes? Laius. Yeah, servant from the house of Laius. And he got this baby. He was supposed to expose it out on a mountainside on Mount Kithaeron. I can't imagine why. It's only a baby. And they pinned its feet together. Hence, Oedipus, swollen foot. They pinned his feet together. And I said, oh, no, that seems a terrible shame. I'll take you to the royal house of Corinth, hand you over to Polybus and Merope, and you can be brilliant. We'll do that. They're short of a baby. Here's a spare baby. What could possibly go wrong? And so everybody goes, well, that's an odd coincidence. Okie dokie, there we are. How disappointing. And Jocasta goes, if you could just excuse me. And she walks off into the palace because she is not an idiot. And she has, of course, worked out what has happened. You won't be seeing her again, so get a good look as she leaves. In case you were interested, she commits a particularly interesting kind of suicide. Oh, I like it when that happens. She hangs herself. Now, I realize that doesn't sound rare, but here's the thing. In Greek myth, when women hang themselves, this is the death of a virgin, right? When Antigone hangs herself in the Antigone, and I really am sorry to give away the ending, but you've had 2,500 years to read it, so too bad. Get with the program. When Antigone dies, she's walled up and then she hangs herself. It's a virgin's death. She takes a specifically virginal act against herself. So when Jocasta commits suicide by hanging, she is specifically, explicitly saying, I wish I'd never got married, I wish I'd never had a child, I wish I'd never had sex. Put that in your pipe, Freud, that's all I'm saying. So, Oedipus, as of course you know, Oedipus is so traumatized by what he realizes when he finally realizes it, that he takes the brooch pins from her dress and drives them into his own eyes. It is the great irony of the play that only when he is blind can he truly see what he is and what he has done. And it is, of course, also the world's first whodunit. Right? Because at the beginning, we're there going, right, what's the problem? What's the crime? Someone killed Laius. Who is it? Don't know. Let's see what happens over the next 90 minutes. Oedipus. Who saw that coming? Amazing. It's the world's first whodunit. Sophocles invented the murder mystery. It is, in fact, structurally identical, for those of you who are nerdy about such things, and I'm going to spoil something else for you from 1987, so I'm sorry for that too. It's structurally identical to the film Angel Heart. For those of you who are Mickey Rourke fans, yeah, I know. Who saw him playing Oedipus? He's playing Oedipus, right? At the beginning of the movie, there's terrible crimes being committed. He's hired as the detective to find out who it is. Guess who it is? It's Mickey Rourke. I can't make this any better for you. It's the exact same story arc as Oedipus the King. Oedipus, I should tell you, is regarded by Aristotle, who is no slouch in this or almost any other matter, as the most perfect Greek tragedy. It's a structural issue for him. He gives us a list in order of what he sees as being the most important things in a tragedy, in the poetics, in his poetics. So number one, the most important thing in a drama, according to Aristotle, is mythos, plot. And I think we can all agree that the plot of Oedipus moves along like a freight train. So that he has in the bank. The second most important thing, ethos, character. Who's it happening to? Do we care about them? Does it make sense? Are they coherent? Second most important thing. Plot, then character. Number three, dianoia, the reasoning. The Greeks are massive fans of people reasoning things out on stage. Is it going to be this? Is it going to be that? Does the reasoning make sense? Is it good? Is it thoughtful? Can we appreciate it? Dianoia. Number three, the reasoning. Number four, lexis, the dialogue. Right? If the dialogue is bad and the plot is good, that's better, as far as Aristotle is concerned, than the alternative, which is terrible plot, beautiful dialogue. Let that be a lesson to everyone making an art house film. Number 5, too near Tribeca, would we say, or just near enough? Just near enough, good, that's what I was hoping. Number 5, the 5th most important thing, melos, music. If you don't think music is important, I would urge you to watch the film Psycho without the musical bit of the shower scene, the exact way that Alfred Hitchcock watched it the first time, and you will see it's fine. Then watch it again with Bernard Herrmann's score, and you will be busy crying behind a sofa, because that is simply a reasonable reaction to something which is one of the more harrowing when you don't see anything actually happening scenes in all of cinema. Number 6, the least important thing, as far as Aristotle is concerned, in everything to do with a Greek tragedy, after everything else, after plot, after character, after the thought, after the dialogue, after the music, the least important thing, opsis, spectacle. It's the least important thing. In other words, plot the most important, spectacle the least important. This is the exact opposite way round of every film made by Michael Bay. The opposite way round, right? Or as an extra kind of addendum to help you remember it, I like to go back to a 1997 film, Batman and Robin. A film which I liked so little that I fainted at the end of it. I know, it's an extraordinary critical response, isn't it? You just go, this is awful, I'm never breathing again. But it's the only explanation. So, in Batman and Robin, I'm sure you will remember, for those of you who have been reading high-minded books, oh, this is all news to you. Let me have watched it so you don't have to. In Batman and Robin, Arnold Schwarzenegger famously plays the villain. His name is Mr. Freeze. He's a bit chilly. That's basically all you need to know. Except for the fact that at the time, they proudly boasted about his costume, which was a suit covered in light bulbs that cost $1 million. $1 million. Do you know what? It does deserve that extremely sarcastic clap. It does. $1 million on a suit. And you watched it thinking, could you have spent 5, say 7 cents of that on the script? Could you? Was that an option? Could you have taken a couple of light bulbs off the back? No one would have known. Just do that. I feel like I can't really celebrate Oedipus the King more beautifully than by going through its entire reasoning up to the point of Batman and Robin. So I feel like that should be where we stop. You have been so very delightful. Thank you for having me. I've been Natalie Haynes.